Hello everyone. My name is May. This channel introduces things you should know about Japan and Japanese people for those who are interested in Japanese culture and customs, and those who are thinking about traveling to Japan. I provide information unique to Japan, such as culture, food, art, lifestyle, and tourism. The other day, I invited my friend Miranda to my house. My house is in the suburbs of Tokyo, in a rural area surrounded by forests and fields. I'd like to tell you about something that happened on the way there. It was late at night, and Miranda and I were walking together. I used my expertise in manga to depict what happened at the time. It was night, but the surroundings were dark, so I set it as daytime. Miranda thought of Tanukis as fantasy creatures, characters. So she was surprised to learn that they actually exist. But to Japanese people, Tanukis have been familiar and lovable animals for a long time. What comes to your mind when you think of Tanukis? First of all, I would say the Ghibli film, Pom Poko. It's been over 30 years since it was made. It's about Tanukis fighting against the development of a new town in the suburbs of Tokyo, close to where I live. I think this is what led to the idea of Tanukis being able to transform, and to their recognition as monster-like, fictional characters. Next, in the game, Super Mario, when Mario puts on Tanuki suit, he can fly and attack with his tail. This may have given the impression that Tanukis have special powers. And then there's my favorite game, Animal Crossing. There, I was really helped by Tom Nook. He's good at business and runs a shop and a real estate business. This is probably why we get the impression that Tanukis are calculating and intelligent. Actually, this time I realized that I had done some research on Tanuki myself. Actually, the producer pointed this out to me before, but this is the first Tanuki I drew. The producer told me, this is a raccoon. It has a pattern on its tail, so I quickly painted over the tail. When comparing a Tanuki and a raccoon side by side, there are three main differences. A Tanuki's tail is short and has no pattern. The edges of its ears are black, and the black patterns on its face are spaced apart. Let's compare them using actual photos. How did this misunderstanding occur? To begin with, raccoons did not exist in Japan. They became a familiar animal to Japanese people through the TV show, Rascal the Raccoon. It was in the 1970s, long before I was born, but I clearly remember seeing it on a TV rerun. It seems that this show sparked a raccoon boom in Japan, and large numbers of them were imported from North America. However, contrary to their cute appearance, they had bad tempers and their owners found them uncontrollable, so they were abandoned and went wild. What's more, since there are no large mammals in Japan that are natural enemies of raccoons, they seem to have reproduced naturally. On the other hand, Tanukis are nocturnal, so no matter how close they are, I never see any. And because they're so common, you won't find them in zoos. So it seems my memory of Tanukis has been overwritten by raccoons. Now, let's go back to the Super Mario mentioned earlier. This is not a Tanuki, but a raccoon. The description of Super Konoha says that if you pick it up, it will sprout a raccoon tail and ears, but this is a Tanuki, not a raccoon. However, in the overseas version, it seems that he is called Raccoon Mario, and I am worried that this may be giving incorrect information to Japanese children. Well, I've been talking for a long time up to this point, but I haven't yet announced the theme of this time. Today's theme is Tanukis and foxes. In fact, foxes, like Tanukis, are famous in Japan for being able to transform into different shapes. Both of these animals are familiar and loved by Japanese people, but I would like to talk about the differences in the way they transform, their mysteries, and the differences in their cultural backgrounds. I believe that learning about Tanukis and foxes will help you understand the Japanese heart. Tanukis appear in various forms in Japanese legends. They are well known for their ability to transform and their tendency to deceive humans. Here we will introduce some Tanuki-related legends that are well known to all Japanese people. Bunboku Tea Kettle is a Japanese folktale about a Tanuki that uses its shape-shifting powers to reward its rescuer for his kindness. When the monk bought an old tea kettle and put it on the fire to boil water, the kettle screamed, "Hot!" The tea kettle screamed, "It's hot!" The monk was so disgusted that he gave it to an antique dealer for free. The antique dealer took it home and discovered that the tea kettle had been disguised as a Tanuki. The Tanuki had lost its original form and could no longer return to it, so the antique dealer did as the Tanuki asked and built a show house for it, calling it the Bunboku Chagama, and made a lot of money from the show. The Tanuki eventually became ill and died in the form of a tea kettle. The antique dealer took the tea kettle to a temple for a memorial service. Marinji Temple is an actual temple in Tatebayashi, Gunma Prefecture, which still houses the Bunboku tea kettle. Shojoji's Tanukibayashi. Tanukibayashi is a dance performed by Tanukis while beating their bellies with their hands. This is a Japanese children's song inspired by the Tanukibayashi legend, handed down at Shojoji Temple in Kisarazu City, Chiba Prefecture. One night, the priest of Shojoji Temple woke up and noticed that the garden was lively. He sneaked a peek through a knothole and saw that it was daytime and a moonlit night. When he went outside, he saw dozens of Tanuki, large and small, dancing in a circle, beating their bellies. The priest was so amused that he joined them every night. At one point, the Tanuki disappeared. He wondered why and went to look for them, and found that they had all died in the bushes from beating their bellies too much. Feeling sorry for them, the priest buried them. He built a Tanuki mound for them. The three elder Tanukis brought from Shikoku region in the movie Pom Poko. On the right is Awa's Kincho Daimujin 6, in the middle is Yashima's Hage Tanuki, and on the left is Machiyama's Inagami Jayabu. The presence of these three is extremely rare in the world of Tanukis. All three are from the same island of Shikoku, which is home to many Tanuki legends. It is said that this is because Kobo Daisher, Kukai, drove the foxes out of Shikoku in order to separate the bad relationship creatures, Tanuki and foxes. Thanks to this, Shikoku has become known as the Kingdom of Tanukis, and has given birth to many legends. These three animals in particular are in a class of their own. Let's take a look at them one by one. Tale of the Matsuyama Disturbance and the 808 Tanuki. In Shikoku, there are many folk tales and legends about Tanuki, but the Tanuki of Matsuyama in particular has a history of them that goes back to the beginning of history in the ages of Emperor Tenji, and as a result of Tanuki giving birth to Tanuki, there were 808 of them. Its leader was Inagami Jayabu. He lived in an old cave in Kumiyama, and was a big Tanuki that continued to protect the Matsuyama castle, and from his household of 808 Tanuki, was also called 808 Tanuki. He was said to have the greatest divine power in Shikoku. In 1732, the Matsuyama domain was hit by a great famine and borrowed a large amount of relief money from the shogunate. The Matsuyama domain's chief retainer, Okudera Kubiai, was blinded by the money and tried to embezzle it, but he plotted a rebellion to take over the Matsuyama domain, and the Matsuyama domain's rebellion broke out. The 808 Tanukis that lived in Matsuyama Castle tried to stop this, but they were defeated in the battle and lost their supernatural powers, and were finally sealed in a narrow cave on top of Mount Kuma. Yamaguchi Ryujinja Shrine is a shrine that is said to seal away Inagami Jayabu, the leader of the Tanukis. Yashima no Hage Tanuki. Long ago, a Tanuki was saved by Taira no Shigemori, and in gratitude, he swore to protect the Taira clan, but the clan was soon destroyed and he settled in Yashima. The Tanuki who lived in Yashima eventually came to be known as Taizaburo Tanuki, and when Kobo Daisher got lost on Yashima, he transformed into an old man to guide him, and when war or other disasters were imminent on Yashima, he would inform the head priest of Yashima Temple, and he became the guardian deity of Yashima Temple. In the past, he helped Ganjin and Kukai who were lost on Yashima, and was so impressed by their virtue that he later trained himself and opened the Tanuki University at Yashima Temple. Taizaburo Tanuki is enshrined in a shrine inside Yashima Temple. Even though it is a temple, it has a red torii gate and Minoyama Daimyojin, creating a scene of syncretism between Shinto and Buddhism. Kincho Daimyojin. A folktale from Kamatsushima City, Tokushima Prefecture, depicting the Awa Tanuki battle, a battle between two Tanuki named Kincho Tanuki and Rokeman. However, Kincho was seriously injured in the battle and died. The sixth generation of Kincho appears in Pom Poko. Tanukis are beloved by Japanese people, and ceramic figurines made in their appearance are made all over the country. The most famous of these is the Shigaraki-ware Tanuki figurine from Shiga Prefecture. It first became famous when Emperor Showa visited the area in 1951. At the time, locals welcomed him by lining up Shigaraki Tanuki holding Japanese flags. Emperor Showa was so pleased when he saw this that he wrote a song about it. The song goes something like, "I used to collect Tanuki figurines when I was a child, too. It brings back fond memories." The story was reported in the media, and the area became known all over Japan, attracting attention nationwide. 8-phase amalgamation of auspicious signs. 8 types of auspicious objects said to be attached to Shigaraki-ware Tanuki figurine. A typical example is the sake buying boy, who is depicted carrying a sake bottle and ledger as he goes to buy sake. It is said that this teaches 8 lessons, including the meaning of business prosperity and increasing financial luck. As an aside, when the skin of a tanuki's testicles is stretched, it spreads out widely, and by wrapping it from between the legs to its back and spreading it out, the tanuki can fly. There is actually a scene in the movie Pom Poko where this is done. The reason why this saying came about is that when goldsmiths in the Edo period made gold leaf, they would wrap a small amount of gold in raccoon skin and hammer it. The gold would spread out widely. The auspicious origin here is a Buddhist concept that says that all events that happen to us are caused by our own actions, and that, whether good or bad, we reap what we ourselves bring upon ourselves. If you always act with good intentions, happiness will come to you, and bad actions will bring misfortune. In other words, you should be careful about your everyday behavior. As we've introduced so far, Tanuki appear in legends and old tales as shape-shifting, mischievous spirits. Their transforming abilities include putting leaves on their heads to transform, disguising themselves as humans to do business, and disguising themselves as Buddhist altar implements, musical instruments, and everyday items to threaten humans. In other words, to the Japanese, Tanuki are seen as beloved beings and bring happiness, even if they deceive people. Finally, a digression. A question that an overseas friend of mine asked me that I found difficult was about transforming into Jizo-san, a type of statue of a Jizo statue, in Mario's Raccoon suit. I tried to find out why it's called Jizo and why it's invincible, but I still don't understand. However, Jizo Bodhisattva is the most familiar and popular Buddhist figure among Japanese people. Jizo Bodhisattva is the most common Buddhist statue in Japan, and can be seen in a variety of places, including temples, village outskirts, street corners, corners of fields, and entrances to graves. Jizo Bodhisattva acts as a guardian deity for the road, and is placed at the entrance to a village to ward off evil spirits and on the roadside to pray for the safety of travelers. 6 Jizo statues are often enshrined in cemeteries. In Buddhism, this is called Rokudo Rinne, the 6 realms of reincarnation, and one Jizo statue is in charge of watching over each of the 6 realms, guiding ancestors and deceased loved ones who have been reincarnated in one of the 6 realms. Finally, a side note. A question that an overseas friend of mine asked me that I found difficult was about transforming into Jizo-san, a type of statue of a Jizo statue, in Mario's Raccoon suit. I tried to find out why it's called Jizo and why it's invincible, but I still don't understand. However, Jizo Bodhisattva is the most familiar and popular Buddhist figure among Japanese people. Jizo Bodhisattva is the most common Buddhist statue in Japan, and can be seen in a variety of places, including temples, village outskirts, street corners, corners of fields, and entrances to graves. Jizo Bodhisattva acts as a guardian deity for the road, and is placed at the entrance to a village to ward off evil spirits and on the roadside to pray for the safety of travelers. 6 Jizo statues are often enshrined in cemeteries. In Buddhism, this is called Rokudo Rinne, the 6 realms of reincarnation, and one Jizo statue is in charge of watching over each of the 6 realms, guiding ancestors and deceased loved ones who have been reincarnated in one of the 6 realms. In one scene from My Neighbor Totoro, 6 Jizo statues are lined up on the outskirts of a village. In reincarnation, you are not necessarily reborn as a person. The worlds into which you are reborn are divided into 6 worlds. The realm of heaven, a world free from worries and hardships, filled with joy. However, even in the realm of heaven, death comes one day, and there is sadness and fear as one must leave this happy world. The realm of humanity, the world where humans live. There is much suffering, but it is the only world where it is possible to escape reincarnation by practicing Buddhism. The realm of Ashura, a world where fighting and conflict never ends. The realm of animals, a world of animals such as cows and horses, where the strong prey on the weak. The realm of hungry ghosts, a world where one is constantly suffering from hunger and thirst. The realm of hell, the harshest of the 6 worlds. It is said to be a constant place of pain. If you commit evil deeds in life, you will be reborn in hell or the way of hungry ghosts, and if you perform good deeds, you will be reborn in heaven or the way of humanity. All living beings have been born and died repeatedly in the 6 ways since ancient times. However, there are differences in beliefs depending on the Buddhist sect. In the Jodo Shinshu sect, it is believed that all the dead are invited to the Pure Land by Amida Buddha, so no one is reborn in one of the 6 realms. This easy access may be the reason why it has the most believers in Japan. This Jizo statue is wearing a red apron. Mario's Jizo statue also wears a red bandana. Red has been used in religious contexts as a color to ward off evil and bad luck. Red is considered to be a pure, righteous, and honest color. As red is associated with babies and children, it is thought to have a deep connection with Jizo statues, who are believed to save those in weak positions. It is believed that the color red has the power to ward off evil, and that it will help children grow up healthy. They act as a guardian deity, protecting the souls of children from going to hell. Remember this red apron as we will come back to it later. Next, I'd like to talk about foxes. Not only Tanukis but also foxes appear in Pon Poko. That's Ryutaro. Like the Tanukis, he lost his home and runs an exclusive club in human form with his fellow foxes. He contacts Kincho and explains that the only way to survive is to disguise himself as a human. I can't take care of the Tanukis who can't disguise themselves, the fox Ryutaro tells the 8th Kincho. Get rid of the incompetent ones and survive and prosper with only the talented. But Kincho rejects the suggestion. In the end, the foxes were not in league with the Tanukis, but in the end Ryutaro is tricked by the Tanukis and loses both his money and his credibility. But Ryutaro, being Ryutaro, will still stubbornly live in human society. Next, let's look at some customs and legends related to foxes. First, there's the fox wedding. This has two meanings. The first legend is of a fox being seen at night, carrying lit lanterns and going on a wedding procession. It was said that years with a large number of these ghost fires would mean a good harvest, and years with few would mean a poor harvest. It is believed that these fox fires are the natural glow of phosphorus, which is essential for crop growth, and that there are more fox fires in good harvest seasons when more phosphorus is produced. It is believed to be a natural phenomenon. The other meaning is, weather rain. It refers to rain that falls suddenly on a sunny day. Such folk beliefs about weather rain are not only found in Japan, but in other countries around the world. In Malaysia, just like in Japan, weather rain is called fox wedding, while in Korea it is fox rain, and in Sri Lanka it is fox wedding, and all of these use the word fox. Curiously, just like in Japan's fox wedding, there are many other expressions that link weather rain to the marriage of animals. For example, in Korea, tiger wedding seems to be more commonly used to describe weather rain than the aforementioned fox rain. In India, there are jackal wedding and monkey wedding, and in France there is wolf wedding. Weather rain is often likened to animals, and in Italy and some parts of the UK it is likened to the name of a fox, just like in Japan, while in some parts of Bulgaria it is likened to a bear, and in Korea it is likened to a tiger. In Turkey, sun showers are called the devil's wedding, and in France they are called the sheep's wedding, and it's interesting to note that similar expressions exist in other countries around the world. Furthermore, in Africa it is called the jackal's wedding, in Bulgaria the bear's wedding, in Arabia the mou's wedding, and in Mongolia the bear wedding. Thus, depending on where you come from, there are various ways to describe rain on a sunny day. In the southern United States, this phenomenon is sometimes called the devil beats his wife. What do demons and foxes have to do with the weather? You can't talk to demons, but stories of fox weddings are found throughout Japanese literature and art dating back to the 8th century. Hokusai Katsushika Zukiyo-e also depicts fox weddings. Native American Indians believe that foxes are incarnations of the Holy Spirit, so they don't kill them without reason. In Africa, it is said that evil spirits turn into foxes. In general, in America and Europe, foxes and tanukis are hunted and are merely furry animals. Because there is no cultural foundation, there are no fairy tales in which foxes transform, and the anthropomorphized foxes in folk tales are cunning but do not transform. Next on our list is Fushimi Inari Taisha, a Kyoto tourist spot that's also popular with foreign visitors. It's well known for its 1,000 torii gates. These gates were dedicated as a sign of gratitude for wishes being granted, and there are not 1,000, but a total of about 10,000 torii gates lined up along the entire approach to the mountain. Fushimi Inari Taisha is the head shrine of Inari shrines, of which there are said to be about 30,000 across the country. It attracts believers as the guardian deity of prosperous business, industrial prosperity, household safety, road safety, and improvement in the performing arts, and these beliefs continue to this day. Beverage is offered at Inari shrines. Aburage is tofu tempura made by deep frying tofu, but it is not thick tofu, it is thinly sliced and then deep fried. As foxes prey on mice, their enemy, people used to offer mouse tempura as an expression of gratitude. Later, under the influence of Buddhism, which forbids killing, people began to offer aburage as an offering. One dish made using aburage is called inari sushi. Inari sushi is a traditional sushi made of vinegared rice stuffed inside sweet and spicy fried tofu. Japanese people affectionately call this inari sushi, oinari-san. Of the many types of sushi, only inari sushi is used with the suffix san. Inari shrine and its god are also called oinari-san, and the foxes that live at shrines are sometimes called oinari-san. In Japan, the light brown color, like the fur on a fox's back, is called kitsunairo, fox color. Rather than expressing the beauty of the color, it is often used to describe deliciously grilled food, such as, the surface is turning fox-colored. Color names derived from animals tend to be relatively rare among traditional Japanese colors, but this color name has been used since ancient times because foxes were a familiar presence. While the majority of animal-related color names are said to be derived from birds, there are 3 mammals that have become color names and are familiar to Japanese people. They are fox color, mouse color, and camel color. Before we move on to the next topic, let's take a little detour. Before transforming, tanukis and foxes place leaves on their heads, but what kind of leaves are those leaves from? The leaves the foxes put on their heads are kudzu leaves. There is a kabuki play in which a fox appears transformed, and the fox's name is said to be Kudzunoha. The reason seems to be that kudzu grows wild all over the place, making it easy to obtain. The leaves the tanuki put on their heads are kashiwa, oak leaves. Oak leaves have been considered sacred plants since ancient times, and have been used as lucky charms. Because the leaves do not fall off even in winter and remain on the branches, they were thought to be trees in which gods reside. As leaves to serve food on, they were considered appropriate for meals in religious ceremonies. Kashiwa means oak in English, but strictly speaking, kashiwa and oak are different types of trees. So when referring to Japanese kashiwa, it is sometimes called Japanese emperor oak, kashiwa oak, or daimyo oak. Kashiwa mochi is a typical food eaten on Tango no Seku, Children's Day. Kashiwa mochi is mochi filled with bean paste and wrapped in an oak leaf. When eating, peel off the leaf and enjoy the subtle sweet aroma. Another Japanese sweet that is similarly sandwiched between leaves is sakura mochi. There's no problem eating the leaves together with the sakura mochi. You can enjoy the saltiness and the aroma and texture of the cherry leaves. There's no harm in eating the kashiwa mochi leaves either. However, they have thick strings and a strong bitter taste, so it's common to only eat the mochi inside. The leaves used for this sakura mochi are not the samayoshino leaves that are often used for cherry blossom viewing, but the soft new leaves of the Oshima cherry tree, which are pickled in salt. Next question. If a tanuki and a fox tricked each other and fought, who would win? In most stories, the tanuki wins. Just off the coast of Niigata Prefecture, there is an island called Sado Island that resembles the letter S. There are no foxes on this island. There are several legends about why this is the case, and we will introduce one of them here. There once lived a tanuki named Danzaburu on this island. This tanuki is so famous that its name even appears in the Ghibli animation Pom Poko. It is said that Danzaburu drove the foxes out of Sado. At the end of the Kamakura period, a fox came across the island and challenged Danzaburu to a contest of sorcery. The fox put on a wedding procession. Danzaburu then went to the fox, telling him he would put on a procession for a feudal lord. The fox was so amazed by the splendor of the procession that it approached, only to find that the procession was real and the fox was killed. Since then, foxes have never come to Sato Island again. Old tales like this one in which tanuki and foxes trick each other remain in Kyoto, Tokushima, and other parts of Japan, and in all of them the tanuki wins. This gives the impression that the tanuki is smarter. The photo shows Japanese soba noodles with fried tofu on top. In Japan they are called kitsune soba. Kitsune is the Japanese name for foxes. The reason for this is that, as mentioned at Inari Shrine, fried tofu was offered to foxes. By the way, this is soba noodles, but there is also a type of udon called kitsune udon. This photo shows tanuki udon. The topping is tenkasu. Tenkasu refers to the crispy batter balls left over after deep frying tempura. There are various theories as to why tenkasu are called tanuki. One theory is that it is a play on Japanese words, and another is that the color of the tempura flakes brings to mind the image of a tanuki. Tanuki also has soba and udon. Please remember that if it has fried tofu on top it's kitsune, and if it has tempura flakes on top it's tanuki, so of course it doesn't contain tanuki or fox meat. And it can be found in both soba and udon varieties. Now, from here on it gets a little complicated, but the explanation so far has been about the Kanto region, but the situation is different in the Kansai region. In the Kansai region, tanuki and fox are reversed, and there is no such thing as kitsune soba or tanuki udon. Explaining the circumstances behind this will cause confusion, so I will refrain from doing so here. If you are going to eat udon or soba in the Kansai region, make sure you have a Japanese person with you, or carefully examine the product photos. This is a cup noodle made by Toyo Sui-san, a familiar brand in Japan. Akai Kitsune was released first, followed by Midori no Tanuki. The combination of red and fox comes from the fact that the torii gates of Inari shrines are red and foxes are enshrined at the entrances. The combination of green and tanuki has no meaning, but was chosen because green is the complementary color of red. Akai kitsune is a kitsune udon with deep-fried udon noodles, sweetly simmered aburage, egg, and kamaboko in a soy sauce-flavored broth. Midori tanuki is a tempura soba with deep-fried noodles, tempura flakes, shrimp cakeage, and kamaboko in a soy sauce-flavored broth with bonito stock. This is tempura soba, not the soba with fried tempura bits on top that we mentioned earlier. Incidentally, Toyo Sui-san conducted a popularity poll from 2018 to 2019 to see which is more popular among Japanese people. The result was that Aka Kitsune won. Udon is actually more commonly eaten than soba in Japan, so this result makes sense. In a game of deception between a tanuki and a fox, the tanuki won, but when it came to noodles, the fox won. I like Aka Kitsune. The sweet fried tofu that has absorbed the broth is delicious. So, from what I've said so far, I hope you understand that tanukis and foxes are very familiar and beloved by Japanese people. And other animals besides tanukis and foxes can also transform. For example, rabbits, cats, snakes, wolves, cranes, dolphins, otters, and many other animals are said to be able to transform. And all of them are lovable characters. You can see this clearly by watching Yokai Watch and Gugugu no Kitaro. By the way, yokai stands for Japanese folk monster, and it often appears in Japanese folk tales, where various animals transform into monsters. That story would take a long time, so I'd like to talk about it another time. Thank you for listening to my story today.